the big problem this country has is being politically correct. I've been challenged by so many people, and I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either.
Yes, political correctness is out. American exceptionalism is back, ready to re-empower our republic as one nation under God by restoring our unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, with your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet, baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts of the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right. Hey. How we doing out there? All across this great land of ours and around the world. It's that time for the Conservative Syndicate. We're glad to have you with us today. And we have a bang-up show for you today. Just bang up. With all the rancor, all the chaos, all the noise that's coming out of the left, the media elites, the malfeasance of both the Democrat and the Republican Party, all these things. I mean, it's just a big old pot of gook. And we really need to kind of, I think, take a deep breath a little bit. Just step back just a moment and kind of assess what's going on, and why it's going on, the way it's going on. And so what we've done is we were able to score big time today. Our conservative panel contributor Scott Faulkner is going to be with us the entire show. And the reason I find why I'm just so excited about this is because Scott is currently working with the Trump transition team. And here's a man that really knows how to sort through the junk, having been the first chief administrative officer for the House of Representatives back in the 90s, worked with the Reagan administration. I think he's got all his ducks in a row, and he's working with the transition team with the Trump people. And we're going to have him on here today and address some of the stuff that's going on and try to make some sense of it because, I am so giddy. I'm giddy. I almost want to steal Chris Matthews' phrase that I've got a thrill running up my leg, the way that Trump is dealing with the media. I really think here, I'm going to make a comment here just before I get Joe on here. I really think that what Trump is really doing here, there's a brilliance to what he does sometimes, although nothing on the surface looks that way. At times, I see, God, this guy just really has no clue. And then as I start to really look at what he's doing and the way he's doing it, I see some wisdom, some really unique wisdom. And what I think he's doing with the media is he's conditioning the media. He is doing his thing. And the image that I had in my mind this morning as I was rolling over some of the information from yesterday, it's almost like Pavlov's dog. The old experiment with Pavlov that when he rang the bell, he would give the dog, I think it was a bone or food or whatever it was. And then after a while, he was just able to ring the bell and the dog was salivate. And I think Trump, in his own way, by the selection of the lesser known media outlets at his press conferences and stuff, I think he's, in his own way, kind of, retraining the media. If you're going to come into my press conference and you're going to talk to me about what the press conference is about and not what you feel like talking about, that kind of thing. And we'll maybe be able to expound on that a little bit today. But let me get Joe on here. Joe, how you doing today?
I'm okay, John. I'm okay. I would have loved to have been there at that press conference to see these people. These people need to be put in their place. They have abused their responsibilities. And I'm sorry. I doesn't matter how long this goes on. I got a feeling that I have no trust in the media whatsoever, none, zippo. Just like I don't have any trust in our elected officials. I have no trust at all.
Yeah,
none.
Well, one thing I am very sure of at this point in time, and is that the Republican elites are working in collusion with the Democrat elites, who are working in collusion with the media elites. And these people have all teamed up. The Republicans are doing it the same way they govern. They just kind of stand in the background and let things happen. And I think some of them are very well involved. I for all intents and purposes, I truly believe John McCain and Lindsey Graham and some of the more renowned talking heads that are called every time something happens in Washington are actually helping and assisting the Democrats. I think you've got, Romney and Jeb Bush and maybe even George Bush somewhere in the background there doing their thing, out of sight, out of mind, out of sight, but still doing their thing. I just don't. I no longer have any trust in the Republican Party any more than I have trust in the Democrat Party. To me, they are literally two sides of the same coin, just without any doubt. There's nothing they say to me that I listen to with any ounce of credibility and think, oh, yeah, they're thinking the right thing. For instance, excuse me, Lindsey Graham today was defending Donald Trump's choice for the ambassador to Israel. He's basically just saying, I guess the choice was, I forget his name here. But anyway, he was being questioned today by the committees out there. And Lindsey Graham's come out and said, I think we need to confirm this guy because Donald Trump won the election and that's his choice. And I'm thinking, yeah, see, there's the thing for you. Now, put that in context real quick. Put it into context. I'll throw you a bone, Donald. I'll throw you a bone and let you get your Israeli ambassador there because that really isn't going to affect anything that I want to do as a conservative or as a Republican establishment elite pawn. Because that really, what happens in Israel really has no effect on the International Monetary Foundation or investments overseas or the globalist concept of one world economy. So I'll throw you a bone and act like your friend, that kind of thing. And that's and the other thing, the way the media just marches stuff out. Matt Bai over at Huffington Post last night. A nice piece here. We're going to talk. I'm going to try to talk with Scott about it when he comes on. Is it time to recall Chris Christie and make him the chief of staff? Chris Christie's going to bail Donald Trump out with all the chaos and everything, when in fact we know that Chris Christie is one of the reasons that we have what we have in there, the leaks and everything else. Who knows who all these people are that are involved in all this stuff? So I can't trust them. And I give them no credibility at any level, any more than I would Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, or the rest of that spitwads over there, Anyway, so we're going to have Scott Faulkner with us today, the entire show. And let's hope we get some good inside skinny as to what's going on here. We can make some sense of some of this stuff. I mean, the big picture, what it's all about is delegitimize Donald Trump as they prepare for the 2018 and the 2020 elections. But I don't know. The one thing I heard from Trump today, regardless, one of the things he kept talking to the media about was, I'm not backing off. You guys don't scare me. I'm going to do what I was elected to do. I'm going to keep my campaign promises. These are all statements he made during the press conference today. I'm here, and you're going to have to deal with it. And you're going to deal with it on my terms. No, I'm not going to deal with it on yours. That's the gist of what I heard today. He really dressed down CNN today for quite a while. Probably spent 15 minutes addressing one CNN reporter and telling him basically, you guys got your head up your butt.
Well, look at what the CNN did throughout the whole entire election campaign. Was they were advocating. They weren't just they weren't reporting. They were advocating for Hillary Clinton. Period.
Yeah. Well, Trump had a particular rant on Don Lemon over at CNN. He just referred to him as the 10 o'clock show on CNN, but he really laid into that. Anyway, hey, look, we got to go to our break here. When we get back, we'll have Scott Faulkner with us, and so stay tuned. We got a lot for you today right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
We're not arguing, we're explaining why we're right. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment, and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time.
With us for our entire show today, special edition here, Scott Faulkner. Scott Faulkner, who is one of our contributor panel members, and out there in the middle of everything that's going on right now, working with the Trump transition, which everybody that was there that were asking questions asked within the context of what the press conference was about. And you could just, there was the media was salivating, just like, Pavlov's dog, waiting for that opportunity to jump on Flynn, so much so that at the end of the conference, you can hear him out there screaming, "Are you going to talk about the Russian thing with Michael Flynn?" It's kind of like they're not really interested in anything that has any depth or substance. It's all the propaganda, or it's all the paparazzi crap. This stuff with Flynn and stuff is kind of I don't know, it borders on paparazzi as far as I'm concerned. So I just thought it was really unique, the way that he really, in telling the press, basically, you don't scare me and I'm not backing down. And, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. And so I overall, I was very impressed. I was like, to me, maybe perhaps one of the best press conferences I've seen Trump hold since he started this whole thing. What do you think?
I think one of the best press conferences held by a president ever. I mean, we're looking at historic here. And I think one of the key pieces is the entitlement that the mainstream media has, that we should be the only ones called upon, and we're the ones who will set the agenda. And Trump is turning them right upside down. I mean, I have friends in the conservative media who for 8 years was never called on by Obama. No one ever were upset about that, because Obama always talked to his friends in the liberal media. So now that the tables are turned, they're all sitting there like spoiled children.
Well, that was one of the things I noticed. And when the first question came to my mind, I don't remember ever seeing Obama in a press conference call on anybody from Town Hall Daily or the Christian Broadcast Network or Conservative Review or any of those
Washington Examiner or Washington Times or, yes, exactly. And so that went on for 8 years, and nobody seemed to bat an eye because the liberals got their entitlement. Now they're not getting their entitlement, and they're screaming like spoiled children.
Yeah, very much so. So I want to ask you here. I floated this theory at Joe the other day, and I want to kind of bring it up to you today and get your take on this. The Ninth Circuit Court stopped the restrictions that Donald Trump issued through executive order. And the talk is whether or not this is actually going to work its way up to the Supreme Court. But today in the press conference, Donald Trump made a statement towards the end of one of his answers to the media that he was going to I'm going to read the quote here. We can tailor the order to that decision and get just about everything, in some ways more. But we're tailoring it now to the decision. We have some of the best lawyers in the country working on it. And the new executive order is being tailored to the decision we got down from the court, okay? Now, that's what he said. Now, I floated this to Joe the other day, and I said, you know what? This sounds like Donald Trump, the deal maker. Because I remember during the campaign that he said that when you go into negotiations, you basically go for everything that you want. And then you end up coming down to what it is you can really get. And I just thought, boy, wouldn't it be something if that's what he's doing here today? That he's basically saying, we threw that executive order out there because we knew that that was the whole shebang. That was a whole enchilada. Okay, that's everything. If we got everything we wanted, this is what we would get. And now he's saying, okay, now I'm going to tailor it based on the decision so that they can't say, no, I can't do this. And so it sounds like to me like it's the deal maker in working here. Is there any validity to that thought?
Well, let's back up and talk about the actual legal environment. Number one, the Ninth Circuit has overturned 80% of the time. They're the most out-of-step appeal circuit anywhere in America. So they're loaded up with liberals who always get overturned, even by a split Supreme Court. The other piece of the puzzle is they only issued a stay. They did not rule against the executive order. They issued a stay saying that to our best knowledge, this will ultimately be overturned, and therefore we do not want damage to occur while the courts are reviewing this executive order. So they did not address the actual merits of the order. They just simply said, well, this may take some time, and instead of saying this will ultimately prevail, so we better let the order stand, they said this will ultimately be overturned, and therefore the order is now suspended. So when the liberals and the press try to say this order was overturned, no, it wasn't. It was a very arbitrary act by a very arbitrary circuit to shut Trump down. If another circuit rules in his favor, then you have two competing circuits, and that's when it will go to the Supreme Court and go from there. Also, Trump and his people are looking at maybe doing something what they call in bank, where you get a larger number, because only 3 judges ruled on this, and the circuit, because it is a circuit, has like a couple dozen judges spread out all over the mountain states to the West Coast, and they could pick a selection of 9 judges or even 12 judges to hear the merits of the case instead of just the 3. And so there's a number of options. But getting to your point, yes, Trump is always for the art of the deal. He's going to be pushing envelopes. He's going to throw things out like he did yesterday when Bibi Netanyahu was there about the Israeli settlements, which we can talk about separately. He's always going to be throwing out trial balloons. He's always going to be trying to get the most when everyone walks away from the table. So, yes, there could have been issues like that, but I do think that he could have done a better job implementing it in the first instance, and I think we've talked about that on a previous show, and we can talk about it again, and that was part of the issue. But he is still on sound legal ground. We all know the 1952 statute, which was not overturned by the 1968 Civil Rights Act, and no court except the 9th has ever considered that the 68 Civil Rights Act affected the 1952 Act.
Now, let me just address something you just said there. You were talking about the fact that the executive order could have been better written, it could have been better handled, and that would fall on the shoulders of Prince Rebus, would it not?
That is correct.
Okay, so what we have been alluding to, Joe brought it up on Monday, and we've kind of been dancing around with it all week, was Prince Rebus the right choice for Chief of Staff, or is he playing Trump from the inside? Is he actually one of the operatives that was put in place there?
He was rewarded because he, at a number of points where the RNC could have really put monkey wrenches into Trump before the nomination and certainly after the nomination. Priebus held those forces at bay, so this was his reward. Now, how organized he is compared to, a chief of staff is usually the person who makes the trains run on time, and in many cases even defines which trains should run at all. And so it's a very powerful position. It certainly was when Jim Baker had it under Reagan. And many of us felt that he used his position to undermine a lot of Reagan initiatives. Is Priebus as diabolical and as intelligent as Jim Baker? I don't think so. But on the other hand,
John Scott, let me interrupt you. Can he be manipulated easier than somebody like Jim Baker?
Absolutely. And what I'm picking up from my contacts inside the White House is that he still thinks he's RNC chairman.
Exactly. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
And that one of the main reasons that we do not have as many Trump people running the government as we spread out through the agencies and departments is he keeps saying, well, if we put a Trump person into EPA as a temporary political, we have to find a Romney person or a Jeb Bush person or a Rubio person or a Ryan person or some Senate potentate person, so that everybody is happy and that we still have a big tent. He still doesn't understand that this is a Trump administration, not an RNC administration.
I thank you so much for saying that, because that's what we've been talking. That's been our conclusion. My thing was when he first announced Reince Priebus, I'm like, why would you take the lapdog for the RNC and put him in a position of authority like this? And my assessment was, well, maybe he thinks Priebus is going to be the bridge builder. He's going to be the bridge that Trump is going to be able to reach out to the establishment. And so I don't know if it was naivety on Trump's part to think that the establishment is in any way, shape, or form going to go along with him, because what we see is that the way I see it right now is that the Democrats are floating out the narratives, the media is supporting it, and the Republicans are doing what they always do. They just kind of stand back in the corner and watch the whole thing progress and then tell us, well, we're on Trump's side, when in fact they're not. That's how I'm assessing it. So I thought, maybe it would have been better with Chris Christie as chief of staff.
Well, may I interject there that Christie was the one who screwed up the transition and brought Romney and Jeb Bush people into the transition. We would have hit the ground running far faster with far better people had Christie never been part of the transition.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that. I'm just saying it seems like, 6 of one, half a dozen the other here. Perhaps with Chris Christie, you got somebody who's a little bit more attuned with how to utilize operatives. Prince Rebus is more like, okay, let's just kind of see what happens kind of thing. He's more of the Republican status quo. I don't really want to do anything because I might go on record that I actually have a position. That's how I'm seeing things. Anyway, Joe, are we up on a break time here? We're coming up on a break here. And
yeah, we got about 15 seconds and we got to do a break, yeah.
Okay, all right. So stay with us, guys. We've got Scott Faulkner with us today, working with the Trump transition team and trying to make some clarity of some things. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Red State Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, what kind of joking? No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call. But I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-380-2906. That's 800-380-2906. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-380-2906.
I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
Am I not speaking English? The ConservativeSyndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American.
Okay, hey, we are back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we've got with us Scott Faulkner, our one of our Conservative Syndicate panel members, and we are going to do the host show today with Scott. And I want to get back into this thing, maybe shift gears just a little bit here, Scott. The issue here with the Michael Flynn resignation has really brought front and center the revelation that there is one or more people within the Trump administration that are leaking information. And aside from the press trying to play this on par with the WikiLeaks, which was not divulging any classified information, but was telling the truth, divulging information that was actually facts about things that were actually occurring. Whereas, they're taking Trump to task, saying, well, all of a sudden you're against leaks, where you supported the WikiLeaks thing, but now you're not because of the fact that you're getting hammered by leaks. There's a big difference to me because of the classified aspect of this. But my question to you is, does anybody in the administration have a clue? Trump dressed it down today. He said, we're going to find who this is, and they're going to pay for it. And I'm just wondering, is there any, I know you probably can't name names or anything like that, but is there any information you can give us in terms of saying, hey, we know kind of where these things are coming from and why? Is it the intelligence community? Is it congressional committee members? Or is it somebody else? But wherever it is or wherever it's coming from, there seems to be more than one source, in my opinion.
That is correct, and it depends on the leak, because Huffington Post and a number of other, Politico and a number of others are getting the more political White House in chaos, Trump upset, and each, this person's on the outs, that person's on the outs. That's one set of leaks. The Flynn leak is very targeted, and if you look through some of the intelligence community, especially the establishment, they were scared of Flynn because Flynn was the most forthright, the most creative, the most aggressive person within Trump's orbit, dealing with foreign policy and intelligence. And so several people, after he fell from grace earlier this week and resigned, said now we have a shot at having a quote-unquote rational foreign policy and rational intelligence operation. So he was targeted. And we know that this was done during the last weeks of Obama, and a lot of those people are still involved in intelligence under Trump. Now, thankfully, because of the highest level of security needed to even get this information, it literally is boiled down to about 5 people. And so how Trump is going to take those people aside and basically ask them point blank or use rubber hoses or whatever, I don't know. But the thing is there's only about 5 people who had access to this particular intercept.
Hey, Scott, I know, we just waterboard them. We can't waterboard a terrorist or anything, but we waterboard our own people every damn day. So we just waterboard them.
Well,
it's down to 5 people.
Joe, you had a comment here that you sent me here during the break about the collection of how this information came about that is being leaked, and your assessment is that all this stuff was gathered before Trump even took office. So this was already something that was beginning towards the end of Obama's administration. Is that what you were saying, Joe?
Yeah, and Trump hadn't even taken office, and this happened in like December, and it's like, hello, the inauguration is in January. So if this is going on and they're collecting data on an American citizen, where's the warrant?
Yeah,
where's the vice warrant?
Yeah, well, I get the whole thing. One of the aspects of this that I'm really intrigued by is how the media is trying to compare this to the WikiLeaks situation. I thought, let me address it this way so I can not waste my time and your time by just trying to ramble through this thing. Nick Cavuto wrote a real interesting piece about Fox News the other day, and he brought this up. He says, the Democrats are all enraged now about the information here. Let me read it to you. Let me just read the paragraph here so I can keep everything in context here. He says, Democrats said that what was revealed about other Democrats was much ado about nothing. Now, what's being revealed about the Republicans? Oh, now that is something. So to review, a waste of time. The stuff around the clock investigations now, they say turnabout is fair play, but that doesn't really mean it's still not a play, an act, if you will. Rage over who knew what and when all of a sudden becomes a matter now. Not so much when it concerned Hillary Clinton and electing her president was all that mattered then. You can't have it both ways. Democrats say leaks were an abomination then, but not so much now. The assessment that I'm making here is that the leaks that came out of WikiLeaks were never denied. They basically were confirmed one way or the other, either directly or indirectly, as being the truth. The leaks that are coming out of the White House right now, in a lot of ways, is not truth. It's made up stuff. It's false news, if we want to use that, fake news, if we want to use that phrase. But it's all innuendo, accusations, speculation from sources. And the media is saying, well, we're disclosing this because it's being given to us, and it's not really relevant whether it's true or not. It's that we're reporting on what we're being told and not necessarily on the facts involved, whether it's actually true or not. So they're trying to put Trump in this camp of saying, well, you're basically being hypocritical, Donald. You're saying that, leaks matter when it benefits you and when they don't, then, it's a bad thing. But when you're making stuff up and you're just reporting it, even if you acknowledge you're making it up or it's made up, you still know. Why would you report something if it's only speculation or innuendo? Wasn't it Barack Obama who said to us, we don't go by innuendo, we don't go by speculation, we go by facts? Well, they're not presenting any facts about anything. The idea that Mike Flynn broke some kind of law, or that he divulged something in the fact that he talked with somebody about sanctions and didn't really do anything illegal, although unethical, in terms of the fact that he tried to mislead Vice President Pence. So to me, it just seems that's how the media takes this stuff, and they make it such a conglomeration of crap that you really don't know how to sort it out. Am I making any sense here?
Well, let's take two parts to it. The first one is, did Flynn break any laws? The only law that he potentially could have broken is the Logan Act. And the Logan Act basically says that no American can conduct foreign policy independent of the federal government. And this goes back literally a century or more, where we had people going down into trying to topple Latin American countries in the late 19th century and stuff like that. So that does not mean you can't talk to a foreign government representative, you can't go to an embassy party, you can't talk to a foreign reporter or a visiting parliament member. I mean, I do that all the time. Anyone with any role in Washington does it all the time. We're not violating the Logan Act, and he did not violate the Logan Act. He was doing a legitimate interaction of an incoming administration, reaching out to different people that they either knew or maybe a friend of a friend knew, saying, we want to get our sea legs here. What's really going on here? What's really going on there? Can we open up some channels of communication so when we all get sworn in and get in, we can have some of these unofficial channels which make up a large share of the way things get done in Washington. He was doing a legitimate transition role, so he did not break any laws. So no matter how much people say, this is going to lead to what did the president know and when did he know it, and it's going to be impeachable and all that, this is all such BS. I mean, we're totally dealing with a manure factory. On the other hand, now we're starting to look at, the leaking, the monitoring. This was all targeted. You mentioned leaking in general. Yes, I think there's a lot of young people in the White House who are, number one, enamored with being in the White House. That's always a problem with anyone who's not been there before, and anyone under the age of 40 who gets stars in their eyes, and some reporter from Time magazine or from some on-air talent that they watch wants to take them to lunch, and they run off at the mouth. That always is a potential for happening, which is why there should be more discipline and more training and more vetting of younger people who make up the staff in the White House. Secondly, are they being surrogates for any faction in the White House, where one of the inner circle themselves never wants to leak, but they tell Joe, Sally, or Fred, hey, take this down the hall. Then the third piece you're mentioning is making things up. Gorka was on Fox News earlier today, actually after the press conference, and he says that there are things showing up in the Washington Post, again, Huffington Post, Politico, and other places. He says they're leaking about meetings that either never happened, or I was in a meeting and it was completely opposite of what they're characterizing the meeting. And so, yeah, there's a lot of fiction swirling around out there, a lot of fake news swirling around out there, and people better realize that before they get too wound up in this stuff.
Yeah, because what it sounds like to me is that anonymous source must be serving on staff someplace. The idea that we say, well, officials are telling us this, representatives are telling us this, and everybody, and they're claiming anonymity on all fronts. We can't tell you who the sources are, and then when you address that, when Trump addresses it, or somebody from his side tries to address this and say, well, you're basically just telling us stuff. You're just you have no sources, or you're not willing to give us the source. You're telling us things are being disclosed to you, but you're not willing to tell us who's disclosing it. And that gives you kind of like this shield to be able to report fake news and say it's viable, whether it's fake or not, it's viable because somebody gave us the information. And that to me is the travesty. That's the bastardization of the First Amendment. That if there was ever anything that needed to be addressed, it's that aspect of the First Amendment. If you're going to come out and make accusations about people, you should have to be able to provide the sources from which they came.
Reporters are always going to protect their sources. You have reporters who will go to jail protecting their sources. We got to go back and look at who is in the West Wing right now, who are privy to these meetings, either being in the meetings or being briefed about these meetings. And we need to make sure that everybody who is in either of those circles is a 100% Trump now, Trump forever loyalist. And anyone who isn't should be weeded out now, because there will be leaks. There are too many leaks this early on for an administration, and the only way you're going to rout them out is not through the media, but through your own staff.
Yeah. They got to get rid of them. And that comes right back to the chief of staff.
Yeah. And I know, I can tell from everything that we've been talking about all week. Joe's got it on for Prince Rebus the same way I have it on for some of the other people in the Trump administration. There are a couple of people there that really give me some pause as to how this thing is coming down the ramp here. We got to go to a break real quick here. This is our short break here. We've got Scott Faulkner with us, and we'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adult in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring. And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Okay, hey, we're back. And you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate. We want to encourage you to visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. You can pick up this show, any of our archives. I think if you're really into politics and what's going on right now, you may want to listen to this show a couple of times. I know I plan on, because This is one of those sessions where you can draw multiple things during the course of the conversation as it takes place here. We've got Scott Faulkner with us, and I want to kind of reword something here. I was talking last hour, and I'm kind of struggling with how to word my questions today, because it seems like every time I've got a thought and I say, okay, I want to ask this question, but then there's like 2 or 3 other threads that are attached to that question. So I'm trying to, like, everything has become multifaceted, and so it's kind of like, oh, while I'm actually thinking or processing the words, another thought is coming in. Well, yeah, but that leads to this, and this leads to that, and trying to include it all. I can't do it that way. But I want to restate what I was quoting from a Neil Cavuto article. And I think I picked the wrong paragraphs, and that's why it seemed to me discombobulated. I want to just reiterate here what Cavuto said here. It was at the very beginning of the article. He says, so it's not the leaks, it's what's leaked. But wait a minute, during the campaign, wasn't it just the opposite? Not what leaked, but who was behind the leak. Back then, Democrats and a compliant media weren't talking about the stuff that got out, but who was behind getting that stuff out. Back then, a Democratic president decrying that mattered, and the Democratic candidate who wanted to be president decrying that mattered, meaning that back there, the argument that we had on our side was simply that it doesn't matter where the leak came from, it's that the information was valid. Here, we have leaks that the information has not been substantiated or valid, and everybody's worried about where it's coming from, or the actual content. It's not where it's coming from. It's that content is being taken to the same degree and level as the content of the WikiLeaks, which we know to be true. But everything that we're hearing through these leaks is unsubstantiated speculation and innuendo. I guess that's what I was getting at. That's probably how I should have worded the question. Am I off base there, Scott?
As Chris Plant famously says, if there wasn't for double standards, liberals wouldn't have any. And I think that that's really the case here, that we are that because the circumstances are different, they are tipping the criteria on its head and saying, look at it this way, not the other way. Yeah, and so the inconsistencies are breathtaking.
Now, when Trump locates where these leaks are coming from, and you alluded to the fact earlier that it's probably down to somewhere in the number range of maybe 5 people, at least, maybe the big players, the staff members and stuff like that. The drones that carry out the orders, I think, may be a little bit irrelevant. But we've got, I'm just alluding, we're just pulling this number out of the air. We don't know for sure. But my point being, when this comes to surface, when Trump decides to disclose or divulge this information, do you think these people should be trotted out into the public square and just, 1, totally humiliated, and 2, charged with something?
Oh, yes. In fact, Trump, in some of his earlier remarks today, said that we will find them and they will be dealt with in the severest way possible. So I would say you will have a very public disclosure, you'll have a very public prosecution, and a very public punishment. And as it should be. Yeah. Now, should that lead to the fact that we have these people, whoever they are, and we're speculating right now. We're not trying to create fake news. We're just speculating. I'm of the feeling, my gut check tells me that the intelligence community is involved in this to a great degree. Chuck Schumer, I think, kind of revealed when he said, the CIA can get you 6 ways on Sunday, which is jargon, meaning they can destroy you if they choose to do it. We've had the what's his name, Trapper. Jack Clapper. James Comey, I think, is trying to rehabilitate himself to some degree. And I'm not saying that these people are responsible, but certainly at some level within their little echelon, their little inner circle that might be happening here, that the CIA, the intelligence communities have been embarrassed by Donald Trump and by some of their own actions. And so Donald Trump has kind of become the scapegoat, which leads me to my one statement here, and then I'll let you comment here before we go to the top of the hour here. I can't help. I've got a gut check that tells me somewhere in this mix,
we're going to find Karl Rove and H.W. Bush. I just their ties to the CIA have not been talked about enough during the entire last 5 or 6 decades, and I just can't help but think that might be some retribution for the way that Trump took down Jeb.
I think that I don't think you're going to see a direct line where someone picked up the phone and said, Joe or Sally, do this. I think you have people who rose in the ranks under the Bush regime, rose in the ranks under the Obama regime, and are taking it upon themselves to do the retribution. So I think you have very senior actors who in some cases have benefited from 16 years of a intelligence community that has wandered off from its storied past, from its professionalism, from its protocols, and has done a lot of terrible things to suck America into the wrong places and the wrong ways, and allowed, especially the last 8 years, America to be blinded from what's really going on out there. And they're scared to death that they're going to be held accountable for that, and they're also hesitant to be forced into doing the right thing for the first time, in some cases 16 years. So right. I think you're not going to see a Rove or a Bush prime mover. You're going to see acolytes and loyalists to them who are deeply embedded and very senior taking it upon themselves.
Yeah, so I think we can safely say that contrary to what the media and the political leaders in our country today keep trying to feed us, the intelligence community has become much more politicized than and now operating outside of their job description. Is that a fair assessment?
That, and actually in some cases way below their job description, as they are not doing the job they should be doing, and where they are doing things, some of it is exactly like you said, they're rogue.
Yeah, okay. Look, we're coming up on the top of the hour here. We got to go to our break here. Time for the Edwards Notebook. We got to pay some bills, and then we'll be back with Scott Faulkner, and along with Joe Hakos and myself. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We got a lot more for you, a lot more to talk about. Stay with us. Go ahead, Joe.
If President Donald Trump is a racist, then pigs do fly, and all is well in Chicago. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, it was so beyond refreshing during a Varney and Company broadcast on Fox recently, where President Donald Trump met with numerous Americans who happened to be black, individuals ranging from Pastor Darrell Scott and his wife, Dr. Ben Carson, Bill Cleveland, Earl Matthews, and many others. And you know what? They talked about solutions to problems plaguing the American black community and our nation overall. Notice I didn't say complain, badmouth America, or spew hatred. That's because absent from the meeting were hyphenated or bitter African Americans like Jesse, hey, where's the camera, Jackson, Black Lives Matter Gumps, Al Sharpton, and others of that ilk. In fact, those that have eyes to see and ears to hear clearly understand that President Donald Trump is the real deal concerning his desire to solve problems everywhere in our republic, including black communities. Even thug gang leaders in Chicago have said they want to hear what Trump has to say. Isn't that interesting how the previous Obama administration never inspired such ideas? I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
Middle America doesn't have an anger problem. It's got an idiot problem. The Conservative Syndicate, doing our part to eradicate the disease of idiocracy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment, and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
I think the big problem this country has is being politically correct. I've been challenged by so many people, and I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either.
Yes, political correctness is out. American exceptionalism is back, ready to re-empower our republic as one nation under God by restoring our unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, with your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts of the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right. Hey, we're back. Hour 2 right here at the Conservative Syndicate, and we are so blessed today to have Scott Faulkner with us the entire show and try to make some sense of some of these things that are going on. I really hope, Scott, my line of questioning, the way that I question, isn't confusing you too much.
Oh, no.
Okay. I just have a tendency to do a little bit of, it's just a bad habit I developed years as a minister. When you get ready to do a sermon, you spend 20 minutes trying to lay out the introduction before you actually get to the point, which is not always a good thing, but especially when you only got 2 hours to do something. But if we could shift gears here real quick here. One of the things I was really impressed with Trump today at his press conference was the handling of the media when they approached him about the what they referred to as provocations by Russia. And Trump just really, I think, handled it well. And if I could just take a moment here, and because this is our short segment, we've got about maybe 6 minutes here, and then we're going to go to a short break, and then we'll come back and we'll get into the substance of this. So let me take the time to ask the question and give you the commercials to think about how you want to respond to it. The question, I'm not sure who the question came from here. It doesn't really identify here. But it says, Mr. President, you mentioned Russia. Let's talk about some serious issues that have come up with in the last week that you have had to deal with as President of the United States. You mentioned the spy vessel off the coast of the United States. I believe that was a Russian spy vessel. Trump says not good. Question, there was a ballistic missile test that many interpret as a violation of an agreement between the two countries, and a Russian plane buzzed a U.S. destroyer. Now, I can tell you, as somebody who used to fly, that's not a big deal. Okay, and we used to buzz submarines all the time. So anyway, and he goes on to say, he says, okay, Trump interrupts him because the guy was trying to continue on with his question, and Trump interrupts him, and he says, if you were Putin right now, you would say, hey, we're back to the old game with the United States. There's no way Trump can ever do a deal with us because you have to understand it was just brutal. If I was brutal on Russia right now, just brutal, people would say, oh, isn't that wonderful? But I know you well enough. You would say, oh, he's too tough. He shouldn't have done that. So he's kind of alluding to the fact that the media is, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But he does go on here to say something that I thought was just really neat. Because what the reporter is trying to ask him is, how are you going to deal with these things, and are you going to deal with these things? That's basically where he's leading up to it. He says, how are you interpreting those moves, and what do you intend to do about them? Have you given Rex Tillerson any advice or counsel on how to deal with it? And what he does is he goes on to say, Trump goes on to say, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you anything about what response I do. I don't talk about military response. I don't say I'm going into Marcel in four months. We are going to attack Marcel in 4 months. Then 3 months later, we're going to attack Marcel in 1 month. Next week, we're going to attack Marcel. In the meantime, Marcel is very, very difficult. So he's basically telling the media, I'm not going to divulge to you what my strategies are because that gives the enemy the upper hand. And I thought that was I think that is indicative of somebody who really, in my opinion, at least on national defense, really has his act together. What do you think?
Absolutely. And what people don't understand about Trump is, he spent 5 years at a military school. He learned military history. He learned military dogma. He learned best practices of military leaders. And in that mix, he learned about Sun Tzu. And Sun Tzu, probably the greatest military genius and certainly the most ancient one, 400 BC in China, talked about how surprise is one of the ultimate weapons of military success. And guess what? That's what Trump is going to do.
Yeah, I know. I'm a big fan of Sun Wu, and it was his thing was always make the enemy think the exact opposite is happening. If you're near, make them think you're far. If you're far, make them think you're near. If you're small, make them think you're large. That kind of thing. I'll leave with this last comment with Trump. We'll go to our break, and then we'll come back, and I'll let you expound on this. Trump says, wait a minute, I don't have to tell you what I'm going to do in North Korea, because a reporter actually began to ask about that. And I don't have to tell you what I'm going to do with Iran. You know why? Because they shouldn't know. I mean, this is common sense stuff. And eventually you guys are going to get tired of asking that question. So when you ask me what I am going to do with a ship, the Russian ship as an example, I'm not going to tell you. But hopefully I won't have to do anything because I'm not going to tell you, okay?
Exactly.
And I love the handling of that. We got to go to our break here. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Scott Faulkner and Joe Hakos. We'll be right back.
Middle America doesn't have an anger problem. It's got an idiot problem. The Conservative Syndicate, doing our part to eradicate the disease of idiocracy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment, and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Am I not speaking English?
The ConservativeSyndicate.net. where we speak only one language, American.
Okay, hey, we're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. We've got Scott Faulkner with us, and we're doing everything we can to drain his brain today and see if we can get some inside skinny here on some of the things that are going on, make some sense of some of this stuff. I'm kind of sticking to the Trump presser today because I was absolutely impressed at almost every level with him in terms of how he handled the media. One particular episode where he really just dressed down CNN, but that was just more for entertainment value for me than anything substantive. But I want to talk about this. You know, I had mentioned during the last break about the once again Trump having to tell the media, we don't tell our enemies what we're doing, so that they know how to respond to us. And I think that's that just to me seems like a no-brainer. I just don't know how anybody could be. How can you debate that kind of thing? How could you say it's better to let the enemy know what we're doing? You know, these red lines in the sand kind of thing that get blown away every time there's a sandstorm. You know, that kind of stuff. And I'm really, it's refreshing to hear somebody actually talk like a commander-in-chief, don't you think?
Yes, well, again, you're looking at the establishment versus the Trump world, and there have been countless PhDs and countless books and countless forums of the foreign policy establishment thinking and advocating that, you know, like some tribal ritual of centuries ago where you line up your forces and you do war hoops and you rattle your shields and you wave you wave your arrows and your spears, and the other side backs down. And so it's all done in public, and it's all done as posturing, and there's all these elaborate, there's whole think tanks that do nothing but this kind of game theory, elaborate, well, if we do this, they'll do that, blah, blah, blah. And Trump is tipping all that over and saying, no, that's not the way you do it. In some cases, we have a relentless foe. The reason the Nazis and the Japanese got as far as they did is you had people back then saying, well, if we give the Sudetenland to Hitler, he'll be fine, or if we look the other way on Japan, they'll be fine. And then the whole Cold War was based on, well, the spheres of influence, we better not help the freedom fighters in Hungary or the freedom fighters in Czechoslovakia because the Soviets are doing this and that. And Reagan came in and said, screw that. Now we have relentless foes in China, in Russia, and in the whole Arab world and radical Islam. And the people who think, oh, if you posture this, posture that, give them a sphere of influence, let them have this, everything will be fine, they've been proven wrong time and time and time again. We have relentless foes. They need to be dealt with relentlessly, and most of that has to be done behind the scenes.
I happen to be a very strong adherent to Barry Goldwater's philosophy on stuff like this, and I remember him saying that as soon as you agree to sit down and negotiate with your enemy, you've already lost because you have now revealed that you have something you're willing to give up. And
exactly.
I'm so strongly in favor of that kind of thing, that position that no, everything is, basically what you're doing is wrong. Okay, ISIS is wrong. Now, ISIS is not going to surrender. They're not going to go away unless they're obliterated because that's their religion, for crying out loud. They're never going to make it to heaven if they don't die. So, right. So it's kind of like this idea that we're going to make them like us and therefore they're going to quit killing us is just. I guess you have to live in utopia to think that that's what's going to happen. But I'm just very impressed with how Trump is handling this, and I can't help but feel that maybe members of the military all around the world right now are breathing a sigh of relief that we have somebody in charge that's actually willing to take the war to the enemy and do what they have to do to win it. I feel very... and Joe, let me get your opinion on that because you're a veteran. You did time too. Do you sense that you work around military people? Is there some sense of relief that you're experiencing over there?
Yeah, there's a little bit of both sides, immediately after the inauguration was a little bit of consternation with some folks, but most folks that I deal with are they're glad that this the Obama years are done. Although we still have to pay for them now. We're still in the middle of all this as far as that goes, and there's still a lot of uncertainty because there's still no budget. There's still people don't. I mean, we still don't know how what the budget's going to be like or anything else. So I mean, we have our military leadership going. We don't have what we need. We don't have airplanes. We don't have ships. We don't have this. We don't have troops. We don't have all that. So it's still up in the air. There's no budget created. So, but there is a lot of people that have a little bit of sense of going, hey, these guys, at least these guys will have our back, I think, and that's what they're. And hopefully they're hoping for some help, because I tell you straight up, the military or the people right now, they're being stretched to the limit, deployment wise and everything. This is just we're asking these people to do a lot of things, and that's the reason why sometimes the retention rates aren't as high as they should be. Yeah, I get that. And I know that one of the things I saw the other day was they're actually now actively recruiting again. The military is now, they're offering bonuses and stuff. I think they want an additional 6,000 people. I think it's just the Army. I'm not so sure if that extends to the entire military, but I saw something the other day that they're actually actively recruiting again. Something. Well, there's a different mindset going on. A lot of the stuff that we had before was a lot of the social engineering things and everything, and you got to go do this little computer-based training, and you got to take time to do this training and do that training. A lot of this is being pushed aside, and it's not as prevalent, let's say, as it or the emphasis is not there at this time. Well, I don't know if it's going to come back or not. It's always cyclical, but we'll have to see. But it is. But you were talking about before about the presser today. I love this little thing that they were talking about the presser right before you were talking about Mosul, and this is funny, and this is what people need to get under. You won't hear this from the press, and it comes out and this is what was so great about this press conference today. They're asking the country's ability to work with Russia was the question, and Trump goes, they all happened recently, and I understand they're going to do because they're going to do the same thing. Now, again, maybe I'm not going to be able to deal with Russia, but at least I would have tried. And if I don't, does anybody else really think that Hillary would be tougher on Russia than Donald Trump? Does anybody in this room really believe that? He goes, okay. But I tell you one thing, she tried to make a deal. She had the reset. She gave all that valuable uranium away. She did other things, and they say, I'm close to Russia. Hillary gave away 20% of the uranium in the United States. She's close to Russia. And then the question, Trump goes, I gave to Russia? You know what I gave? Nothing. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. And you won't hear that from the press ever. I'm thinking, Scott, I wanted to just say this to you, Scott, and you give me your feedback on this. I'm really wondering if they should just put Sean Spicer someplace else and let Donald Trump do the press conference every day.
Well, and sometimes absence makes the heart grow dearer. You don't want to overuse such a great asset. But apropos to that, and apropos to this whole thread of discussion, the reason that Trump can be so commanding and so successful in like the press conference today, the reason he is fearless is that he has been successful in his own right prior to being president. And when you go through the 45 presidents we've had, the most successful ones tend to be those who were successful before they became president. They did not need the presidency to complete themselves. That's why we had failures in the Bushes. That's why we had failures with Clinton, with Carter, and certainly with Obama. If they didn't have the presidency, that they had nothing else to lead off their obituary one day. You look at Reagan, you look at Eisenhower, you look at Teddy Roosevelt, you look at Trump. these are people who, if they had never been president in their entire lives, they could go to heaven saying, I had a successful life. I had a successful career. I mattered and did things that mattered. The presidency was not necessary to complete them. And that is something people don't quite understand about Trump. He doesn't need the presidency. He never did. He's doing it because of love of country.
Yeah, and that's something that everybody has. They've tried to use that narrative against him. The fact that it's the Democrats that love the country. It's the leftists that love the country. Donald Trump is just a hater. That kind of thing, and they've tried to play it around. And I think that's very true. Very true. Trump really, if we really look at the whole thing, he really didn't have to do this. I mean, if the United States became a socialist republic tomorrow, he would still be okay financially. It's kind of like I put it in line with everybody making this big deal about Ivanka Trump losing her Nordstrom and Macy's endorsements. Like, you really think that's going to dent her bank account? I mean, like, who the hell cares? But yet, it's like that's supposed to be representative of something. So, some bigger narrative, some bigger statement. Give me a break. Who shops at those places?
Think of all the designers who said they didn't want to touch Melania Trump with a 10-foot pole, who are now saying, "Oh my God, we've just screwed our lives for the next 8 years."
Yeah, and I bet they're not getting any calls from Michelle either.
No.
Yeah. Here's the thing from the presser today that goes right along with that. Trump goes, I won with news conferences and probably speeches. I certainly didn't win by people listening to you people. That's for sure. Talking to me.